As a sport, swimming's all about the time on the clock. But for one day back in 2014, it was about more than that, even if it was still about breaking a world record. So what was it that inspired Lewis Coleman to gather 100 swimmers to try and break the 100 by 100 metres freestyle world record?
So my mother was sadly diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia in the summer of 2012. So that, came as a huge shock to the whole family. She was fit, healthy, very active. And actually at the time of diagnosis, she was training to cycle John O'Groats to Land's End. So she just put it down to being a bit more tired than usual, which is a symptom that can often be overlooked. Obviously, general day-to-day life, you do get tired, and she just thought, oh, I'm doing this extra cycling training. That's what it is. Anyway, went to the doctors, sadly, got the diagnosis, and treatment commenced. They said, look, you're going to have to do chemotherapy, a course of chemotherapy. So, it was all quite shocking at the time. But, we sort of tried to get our heads around it as best we could. Now, my mother was extremely fortunate that the hospital that she was at had access to a clinical trial drug. And basically they said to her, look, we can put you on this clinical trial. We don't know what's going to happen. It might work, it might not. It's got some good results, and this is your option. So the trial was a massive blessing for us, and the trial was successful. So it put my mum in a position to take the bone marrow transplant, and that really got me thinking. How many other families may be in this situation that might not get access to that clinical trial. I mean, the percentage when I read it, it was so, I think it was just 6% or something like that. And it was so low, and it really shocked me. So I thought, well, what can I do, to sort of do my bit? I was at a little bit of a loose end in terms of, my emotions and how I was feeling. Because obviously there's not much I can do to physically make her better. So I remember I said to my housemate, Braxton Tim, at the time, who I used to, we lived together for 3 or 4 years, training at Sheffield. And I said, I just want to do something, Brax. And that was in the morning on the way to training. We're coming back from training. So I'm going to do something. Don't know what it is, but I'm going to do it big. So he was sort of just like, yeah, okay, Lewis, because I often will come up with crazy ideas and things. And I remember I went upstairs for a nap, came back down, but I didn't sleep because I was up online researching. And I came down and I said, Brax, I know what we're going to do. He said, what? I said, we're going to break a Guinness World Record. And he just looked at me and laughed. And he said, well, yeah, all right, let's do it. He said, what record? So I said, well, I found a record online. It's the 100 by 100 meter relay. Because my thinking is the maximum amount of people I can get involved, get watching, will increase the amount of exposure that we can give to the charity, which was at the time Leukemia and Lymphoma Research, which has now been renamed to Blood Cancer UK. Because for me, leukemia was something that I didn't know about, and so I wanted to raise the awareness, and equally I wanted to raise as much money as possible, to give the opportunity for these drug trials and other families to get access to them. So I thought, if I can raise as much awareness about it as possible, people will get to know, and maybe they can help. And if I can, raise as much money as possible, to give another family like mine a second chance, and then that would be great. And I wanted to do something as well for my mum, just to aim for, obviously, because the treatment was so intrusive, and it was a difficult time for everyone. And selfishly, also, I needed a bit of a focus to divert my sort of emotion and energy into. So the plan was sort of set from there. So that was really where the idea was born.
When Lewis said he wanted to raise money for the charity, he said he was going to attempt a world record. What did you think?
Just wow, that was my first thoughts. Amazing. I was actually, when he said what he was going to do, I was going through my transplant at the time, so it gave me something to focus on, and to ask him each day what how things were going. It just blew me away to think that he was prepared to do all this and raise awareness.
You must be incredibly proud of what he's done.
Very proud of him, yes. We're, so proud. It's unbelievable.
And Joe, he had you roped into swim originally, but I gather you've been cut for being too slow?
Yeah, I think age was always against me. I said, don't jeopardise your opportunity to break a world record to include me or your brother. It never was in question with him. He said, one of you are doing it, me or of his brother Oliver. So Oliver is quicker than I, 10 years of age, so he got the short straw. He's swimming the first leg today.
From day one, I'd always said Oliver was going to be part of it, no matter what. Because he swam at the local swimming club and he was all right, but he was by no means a swimmer. He just did it because he enjoyed it. He played, many other sports. But for me, that was one, definite, no matter what, I don't care what time he goes, he is 1000%, going to be part of the race. So, and I said to him, he could lead it off, which was great because it was amazing. I've still got pictures now which are lovely of when he was starting off, and what would he would have 6 years ago, wouldn't it? So he was 10, yeah. And Ponds Forge was full, so 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, whatever people we had in there, all the swimmers, the big lights were on, and he was loving it, soaking it up, waving to the crowd. And I've got some really special pictures just from that one moment of him leading it off, where he's waving up.
The driver clearly was awareness and raising money for the charity, but at which point did your kind of mindset switch to, well, actually we need to get the record, I want to break the record, or did it?
I always wanted to break it, and I was confident we could, because I knew the team that was taking part was all very, very capable, and there was some really, really fast times as well. Split wise, there was some brilliant swims. So I guess it was a driver, but the main driver for me was doing it for my mum, and raising money for the charity and bringing people together. And of course everybody wanted to break the record because everyone wanted everyone wanted the certificate. So it became clear sort of early that we were on track and doing well. So that wasn't too stressful.
Lewis's confidence was well placed as the 100 swimmers went about their business of trying to crack that world record. Adam Barrett set the fastest swim of 47.7 in the men's, while Francesca Housel did likewise in the women's with a 53.1. Meanwhile, James Hickman took the bragging rights in the veterans category, winning his bet against Steve Parry and James Gibson. And as the relay came to a close, 99 swimmers down, there was only ever going to be one person taking the last leg.
But there's the photo of you on the blocks, waiting for, I think, was it Braxton who swam the 99th leg, I think? Yeah. Waiting for him to come in for you to take over. It's a pretty iconic image. You're there, 100 emblazoned across your chest, pointing at the crowd.
Yeah.
Pointing at your mum, I guess. What were you feeling at that point?
Crying behind my cockles. It was a mess, because I was like, well, I've got to at least try and get under 50 point, which I didn't, which was awful. But I was just, that was the moment that it all sort of just sort of felt like it hit me when I stood up, and I thought, wow, this is actually it. So that was a very powerful moment for me, and that absolutely wrecked me emotionally.
So we have our 100th swimmer in the water. That's Lewis Coleman himself, and I can tell you, when he went in, we were 8 minutes under the world record split. So Lewis has got an easy armchair ride to bring this team home in glory. Don't forget, you can donate, swim4Leukaemia.com. Lewis has just gone through 50 metres, and all it is now is a question of how much he can take this record under the mark. Don't forget the mark was 1 hour 37 minutes and 53 seconds, set in 2011 by a team in Miami in Australia. But this is going to be absolutely smashed today. Lewis is on his last 25. The crowd are on their feet cheering. How much is this record going to go by? He's coming into the last 5 metres. He's going to touch the wall now. 1 hour, 29 minutes and 3 seconds. It is a huge world record. 8.5 minutes off the old time. Nearly 9 minutes better than the Australians. That is a superb swim by the 100 swimmers we've had here today. A new world record and a lot of money raised for leukemia and lymphoma research.
I don't really remember the 4 lengths, just I remember the great noise, and James Hickman, he was on the microphone from, I think swimmer number 1 to swimmer number 100. And I could hear him, and, and the crowd were all chanting. It was amazing. But yeah, that was the moment that all the sort of weight of emotion of the whole day landed on me. But it was brilliant. I loved it when I was swimming. It was amazing. And then it was a sense of a relief, because I was like, we've done it. We've actually done it. And again, overwhelming emotion. I remember my brother, he sort of took it upon himself. I think he came because he was on the side, and he walked across the boom, and I picked him up, and we both just burst out crying. And that was another, I think Simon, he was, because he'd been in the water for all of it, and he captured again another great picture where I picked him up, and that was a very emotional moment, because I sort of, it all sort of stopped, as loud as it was at that moment. That was just, for me and him, and that was something really special, and that was nice as well to have that. But it was quite an overwhelming feeling. But we were just so excited. All the boys from Sheffield, we were just excited. We were happy, that we'd done it. To date, one of the best days of my life, without a shadow of a doubt. That is, hand on heart, my proudest achievement. Whenever I speak to young up and coming swimmers, aside of some of the things that I achieved in the pool, that is without a doubt the thing I'm most proud of. It's whenever I'm having a bad day or a bad time, I take myself back to then, and the feeling of togetherness that it created with all those people coming together for my mum, really, and for a cause. And I'll forever be thankful for all the people that gave up their time to swim, to support, to help, to cover the event, because those are the people that gave, selfishly, my family a very special day and a special memory. They came together to give people from, suffering from blood cancer, a second chance or another opportunity or some hope, and it was special. It's a humbling thing that people would come and do that, and it is beyond doubt my proudest achievement.